Thank you very much. I hope you guys can see my screen. Yeah, very interesting to load up straight with the Tesla world. I think as part of this journey and as part of this 25, 30 minutes of which I hope to do the presentation, I can show you maybe some of the subtle differences between our business and theirs. Before we get started, I just want to obviously give a shout out to Craig and Lydia for all the great work and the rest of the guys over there pulling this conference together, especially in such a new world that we're living in. The adaptability has been great, and yeah, really kudos to you guys. So Easymile is a autonomous software company at heart, and we specialize today in the people moving aspect with our little 15-passenger shuttle, but we also have a product across the material handlings space, which we'll be discussing a little bit later. We're kind of old in the grand scheme of these startups and tech firms. I've been around now since 2014, about 220 employees, like the slide says, and we have 7 core locations around the world. Our headquarters is in Toulouse, France, always followed up by some awful joke saying there's nothing to lose about being based there. But joking aside, it is a fantastic location for us to be based, especially considering we're in the heartbed of Airbus, and to share not only the staff, but to work with quite a few awesome people there has been fantastic for us in such a hotbed of innovation. Each of these locations that you see across the screen really do reflect where we have had exponential growth in order to justify setting up regional offices. So for the Americas, Denver, Colorado, where I'm speaking to you from today, is where we manage the entire US and, like I said, Americas division. But obviously we have our other locations around the world also. So what Easymile does is we do not manufacture or we do not build any of our own vehicles. We partner with leading OEMs in order to do what they do best in the manufacturing world. And on the day-to-day, we end up partnering with some of the leading operators in the world. My personal background comes within First Group, First Transit, in both the UK and then moving over here to the US. So they are one example of one of our partners in the passenger space, but across the material handling, we have other locations and other partners, which is very exciting. But we focus on the software. So as we go through this presentation today, don't think of us as a provider of vehicles. Think of us as a provider of solutions based on our software. Our partners kind of help dictate as well that very niche piece of us being where we are and where we sit today in the market. One of our investors is Alstom, and the other one is Continental. Continental is obviously, as we know, the tier 1 OEM firm. They are probably best known for their tires, but you load up the bonnet, load up the hood of any vehicle, and quite a few components are Conti components. And again, on the manufacturing side, having one of our partners being Alstom is pretty exciting as well, just from their background, not only in rail, in trams, but now they're obviously looking to create that electric bus. Is very exciting for us as well, for sure. We are not a publicly listed firm. We are a privately held company, which makes us much more nimble and not accountable to shareholders. When anybody ever talks about automation and driverless technology and all of that type of things, some pretty big claims are put out there. The Elon Musks, the Teslas of the world, looking to get the holy grail, if you like, which is defined as the level 5 autonomy, where you have a vehicle and it can go from point A to point B, never seen the environment before. And it doesn't matter whether it's in the Arctic or downtown Denver, for example, it will be able to do truly autonomous driving. We're not aiming for that. We're not aiming for level 5. We're aiming for level 4, which when we go and do a little bit of a deep dive on the technology, you guys will see that it's essentially running on a predefined map, running essentially on a virtual rail. But these statistics, I'm not going to read off the slide, but the safety piece, the cost-effective side, productivity within the vehicle, making sure that obviously it's a flexible system that can integrate into the existing systems, existing ecosystems, and it's something that people can access, equitable. And then the big push that we have is all of our platforms are fully electric. So as I was saying, there's two real key flagship products that we have today. We've made 150 of what we call the Easy 10, which is our up to 12 passenger, fully electric driverless shuttle. It's designed to run on a single day's worth of charge. So 16 hours without using the heating or air conditioning. But we usually see a reduction in that when that's being used. It is a ADA accessible vehicle, which we obviously know is super important. Back to the previous slide about having mobility for all and accessibility. That piece there in the middle, the pre-mapped network of routes, is something that just speaking about how it does run on that predefined, pre-mapped area. The big thing as well is there's no additional infrastructure that's needed. Sometimes, for example, firms years ago used to require magnets in the road and RTK base stations, which is basically GNSS correction systems. We don't need any of that. All of that is localized to within the vehicle. The maximum speed, though, of the shuttle is limited, and that goes more within us arguing that the state of the technology today maybe isn't what the Teslas of the world are promoting, whereas we're on a very different track with speeds reduced quite a lot in comparison. So the maximum speed that the Easy 10 could do is about 25, 30 miles an hour in a predefined controlled area. We're actually seeing the majority of the top speeds being more like 12 to 13 miles an hour in operations today. So that's obviously something to consider. For this group, something I'd really like to talk to you guys and definitely solicit some feedback is our Tracked Easy solution, which is, as it kind of shows there, essentially your traditional baggage tractor that you'll see at airports. But this has been designed with our partner TLD, one of the leading ground support equipment firms. And we have taken their very successful platform, the Jet 16, the electric tugger, the electric tractor, whatever we want to call it, and put our software stack on top of that and deployed this fantastic vehicle, which again, in the airport environment is terrific. But when you then start thinking about what the possibilities are, for example, in the manufacturing and the material handlings world, when it comes to aviation, when it comes to maritime as well, like there's a lot of potential use cases that we as a firm have not yet explored. We have seen a huge uptake within the automotive space, especially here in the United States and in Europe, with several plants, for example, taking, let's say, engines from the manufacturing part of the plant directly to the assembly line. We've seen quite a lot of uptake for that use case. In the package and logistics world, we have about 6 of these vehicles at an airport, which is essentially moving the carts around the facility, which is a fantastic use case for the vehicle. But we just know there are so many other applications. We were on a call this morning with our colleagues in Australia, where they're seeing quite a lot of uptake in the food and beverage space. And interestingly, the Tracked Easy will be replacing industries that, for example, are using forklifts today. So we'll have the trailers on the back of the vehicle, on the back of the Tracked Easy, and that's replacing a lot of the existing processes which have actually been deemed unsafe with the forklifts. So using this application has been actually exciting. And yeah, like I said, I think there's so many more applications that we as a firm are currently going through the process of exploring where else can we branch out this technology. Again, it comes back to the fact that it is still an electric and green solution. It can pull up to 55,000 pounds or 25 tons. So it's definitely a workhorse. And again, it still follows that same low speed mindset. And the really exciting piece with this product is it operates in both indoor and outdoor environments. So it definitely opens up the opportunity for where we can. Again, similar to kind of what I was talking about earlier when it comes to the value proposition of what the people mover was, you know, our goal is to increase the productivity, the flexibility, and just the tracking. You know, one of the big things that we're learning across these plants, across these industries is they don't know half the time where their vehicles are, something as simple as that. So that's something that we're looking and pretty excited to be able to bring. But the big things and the big excitement comes when we can reduce the operating costs, reduce the cost of losses and damages, and risks, and one of those risks being replacing forklift type projects. So we're definitely expanding our portfolio. This is a product that we've really commercialized, I'd say Q2 of this year, and really pushing into that mass deployment next year, whereas the Easy-10, the passenger vehicle, has been in operation since about 2015. So we have 150 of those people movers, and we have 10 of these Tracked Easy products today around the world. Like I said, there's several here in the US, sadly at plants which wish to remain confidential at this stage, but there is one vendor coming in online in the Midwest, major OEM manufacturing plant, which we should be able to announce towards the end of this year, which we're very excited to do. PSA in the Sochaux factory in France is where we're operating. We have projects with TLD in Narita Airport in Japan, and there's quite a few other projects around the world also. This is one example of what the vehicle actually looks like. It's very easy to talk about it, but until you see pictures, sometimes makes it a lot easier. This is at the manufacturing plant in Sochaux in France, where we are moving car parts around the plant. This has been a fantastic operation. This was actually the first real deployment that we've had of this product within this environment. And this year we're very proud to have won the IFOY Awards, which really kind of just goes to show the potential of this vehicle. So it won the award for the best AGV and intralogistics solution, which I think is really going to help kickstart our product into the new year for sure. So how does it work? Like I was kind of touching upon earlier, the main principles of our level 4 autonomous driving really does stem around operating on that predefined route, that railroad, that virtual railroad track, if you like. So we do that by essentially driving the vehicle in what we call manual mode ahead of time, whether it's any of our portfolio of offerings. And what we do is, whilst we're driving manually, we are downloading and absorbing our entire environment, from street furniture to signs to parked cars, everything that you can possibly imagine. And then what the job of the deployment engineer is essentially to clean up that map once we've downloaded it. So things like cars, for example, or trees which change over time, we're going to try and potentially not record and not monitor, but physical landmarks such as buildings and all of those key things which the vehicle can, what we use the phrase localize off, is what we will use in order to help the vehicle. That is one of our solutions that we use for autonomous driving. There's also the LiDARs, the GPS, the inertia measurement unit, and all of these combined together helps us run in what we call autonomous mode. So that's the hardware piece. It's all good and well having that, but not actually being able to manage the system is a bit of a nightmare for existing operations, existing locations. So our fleet management system that comes with our solutions is essentially a white label product that you can see all of the information from the vehicle. For the passenger side, for example, you'll be able to use cameras to see inside the vehicle. For the logistics and the plant environments, we'll have cameras on the vehicle, for example, to see the payload. We'll be able to see the battery life, what mission it's on, and then crucially be able to pull such key data reports from the operations to really just kind of ensure that the efficiencies are being met. One example of the efficiencies would be on the passenger mover side, dwell times at stations. So for example, if we see on our reports the vehicle being too long at one station, maybe we can ascertain that we actually need to supplement that with an additional vehicle just because the boarding process, for example, is taking too long. So the fleet management system is part of the portfolio that helps run the vehicles, because today the industry, we can't just simply give you the keys of an autonomous shuttle and shake your hand and wish you good luck. There is a journey that goes along with it. So we'll train you in order to use the fleet management system. So you can always keep an eye on the platform. And this fleet management system is where we will train the end user, for example, to make modifications in the route. Our job in Easymile is to have as light a footprint as possible. So when we do sell, lease, or rent a platform, we will try and aim you with all of the maintenance skills, the route modification skills, all of these things which will just help efficiency and selfishly for us, help us scale up as a business. So one question that we always get asked is, from contract signing to delivery, how long will this take? So here, the purpose of this slide is just to show that we say about 3 to 6 months to fully implement a solution. So before we even get the vehicle on site, there's site assessments that we do, and as part of our team, we have about 20 people here in North America that are solely focused on this. And then what they do is they pull all of the different pieces on the site and say if there are adaptations or modifications that we have to make, we will do that. One example being on the passenger side, say, for example, with our wheelchair ramp, we'd want to ensure that it loads and unloads passengers onto a curb, for example, mainly to help with the angle of the ramp, for example. And then once the vehicle's on site, if there's connectivity, say with traffic signals or automated barriers that we need to have our onboard unit talk to, roadside units or any of those type of pieces, you have to factor those in. And then finally, it comes down to the operations and actually training the team on the ground in order to be able to fully support the solution. But we're pretty excited about what the Tracked Easy and our Easy 10 solutions can bring. I think it's also pretty key to mention as well, as part of this, that they're not our only two products. We've just announced a US manufactured electric vehicle platform, basically based off a Ford chassis. We will be bringing that to market hopefully in 2 years from now, with a prototype ready this time next year. So that kind of just goes to show more of our commitment to the US market, because the FMVSS, the Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standards, is something that's very key and very important for us to do on the passenger side. But even on the material handling and other potential vehicle platforms that we have not yet explored, having that US made by America compliance, is something that's going to be very key as well to our sustainability as a business. So that was a very high level overview. I definitely will leave my details for you guys to reach out with, always looking to solicit new business models, new opportunities for our platform, because I do fundamentally believe that we have not yet even scratched the surface of what we could potentially do with the platform. So with that, I'll hand it back to you guys.